This is the group project for Fire 104 at Miramar College, going over a building collapse while fighting a row house fire in Pennsylvania. The group members are Ryan Pascal and Weston Garrett. On January 6, 2018, a 42-year-old career lieutenant was killed in a structural collapse while fighting a fire in an 1800s-era row house. The first arriving crews operating only off tank water were able to locate and remove a civilian victim from the first floor and initially knock down the fire on the first floor. Interruptions in water supply hampered firefighting efforts and forced a change in strategy until a reliable supply was established. Engine 45's officer and his tip man re-entered the structure after changing out their SCBA cylinders and joined several other members on the first floor, including Rescue 1 search firefighter, Squad 72's officer, and Engine 50's pack. One firefighter from this crew advanced onto the second floor, while the other two members remained on the stairs to advance hose line. The firefighter on the second floor experienced a shift in the floor, and without time to react, the second floor collapsed into the first floor. Squad 72's officer reported hearing a loud crack and went to the front door and told command to get everyone out. The lieutenant was pinned down by the second floor joists and was unable to escape. Rescue crews worked continuously for approximately 60 minutes in extremely dangerous conditions to extricate the lieutenant. He died of potential asphyxia with superheated gas and smoke inhalation. Some key recommendations that fire departments should consider include increasing response capabilities during extreme weather, ensuring that firefighters are trained to understand the influence of building age, use, design, modifications, and construction on structural collapse, and consider defensive operations when hoarding or dilapidated conditions are evident or encountered. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania does not have prerequisite training or education requirements for an individual to become a firefighter. To become a member of the fire department, an individual must apply and successfully complete a civil service examination for firefighters. Prospective candidates are selected from the established civil service list by highest test score. The process includes department interviews, a criminal investigation, and a background investigation. Selected candidates are appointed as cadets of recruit firefighters in an extensive 36-week academic, practical, and physical training program at the department's Fire Academy. At the Fire Academy, recruit firefighters are trained in firefighting operations as well as emergency medical services, for which they must obtain state certification as an emergency medical technician. Upon the successful completion of training, recruit firefighters are assigned as probationary firefighters and receive national certification. The fire structure was a two-story, approximately 1,038 square foot, single-family, occupied residential row house of ordinary construction masonry, built between 1880 and 1888. Similar row houses made up the exposures on all four sides. Side Charlie had a slight buffer area for utilities, but not enough room for access by fire department vehicles or equipment. The row house was in poorly maintained condition with structural deterioration and excessive clutter and heavy contents with hoarding-like conditions. The weather was a primary contributing factor for this incident. Firefighters experienced significant interruptions in water supply with as many as 6 inoperable fire hydrants as well as a frozen nozzle tip. They also faced extreme cold, snow, and ice in the response roadways and a narrow street that had cars parked on one side of the street, making it impossible for heavy fire apparatus to access the front of the fire building. Crews had to hand-stretch hand lines 260 feet past 15 row houses from intersecting larger streets that could accommodate engines and ladders. At approximately 0851 hours, a box assignment was dispatched for a reported dwelling fire in a middle-of-the-block row house in an older section of the city. Firefighters arrived to find a 2-story row house heavily involved in fire in the middle of the block. The narrow streets and resident parking prevented fire apparatuses from accessing the front of the dwelling, and there was no access to the rear of the dwelling except through an alleyway overgrown with vegetation. Interruptions in water supply hampered firefighting efforts and forced a change in strategy until a reliable supply was established. At approximately 0906, Engine 50's crew reported that they had lost water on their hose line. At approximately 0908, command ordered all units to exit the building and that they were switching to a defensive attack. Engine 45's crew exited and changed out SCBA cylinders. The crew on the second floor reported that they had experienced a shift in the floor, and the Ladder 12 pack yelled to the crew on the stairs that he felt the floor sag. During interviews, he reported the floor sagged approximately 2 inches. The Engine 50 officer ordered the Ladder 12 pack man off the second floor. However, prior to getting back to the stairs, the second floor collapsed into the first floor. At approximately 0933, a V-shaped collapse occurred, trapping several firefighters. Command ordered an evacuation of the building, and a PAR notified everyone that they were going defensive. Some contributing factors for this fire include extreme cold weather, inherent building characteristics and unique row house variation, and structural overloading. According to the medical examiner's report, the victim's cause of death was positional asphyxia with superheated gas and smoke inhalation. Some recommendations for this fire include considering defensive operations when a dependable, continuous water supply is lost or not available, and the building's primary building materials may have been subject to severe fire conditions, as well as ensuring that firefighters are trained to understand the influence of inherent building performance characteristics, unique row house variation on structural collapse, and consider defensive operations when dilapidated or excessive clutter conditions are encountered. These are the sources that we used, and this is the end of our presentation. Thank you.